All right. So remember I was talking about July, low solar activity, July being the hottest month, blah, blah, blah. Going into August 1st, we get the Roy Spencer temperature anomaly for the global, for UAH, global temperatures, I should say. And they're lower for July. And then we look at August, and the light blue is just slightly below average temperatures. Okay, that's what that means. But in the states where these temperatures are going to be slightly below average is going to be because of a lot of moisture that's going to be heading from the northwest through these areas where it's going to be in the blue. And then we're going to be watching the deep south as well. So right now we're seeing above average temperatures in the northeast and in the southwest. So far, I don't see any reason not to agree with these predictions at this time, just based on local forecasts around here and what our local outlook is going to look like. I'm not going to disagree with this forecast here. What concerns me about this forecast is that we are going to be looking at cooler temperatures in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, parts of Arkansas, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Southwest Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, and most of Colorado. And the agriculture industry in these areas, like I sound like a broken record, I know, but it really needs August to act like August. And this is not encouraging. So we got already cooler temperatures expected. That doesn't mean it's going to be cold and hoodie and jean weather, but lower temperatures are expected in August in this area. So I wanted to point that out with the fact that we've had low solar activity. Is it really a shock and surprise that we are going to see cooler temperatures? We've been hearing rumblings about it since mid-July that we are going to see a cool down around August 7th through the 15th, where temperatures in most parts of the United States are going to be below average on the temperatures. Again, this article here, I'm not going to read this really. I just wanted to show you the headline. Let's take a quick glimpse, really quick. We've already seen weather.com admit why we had such cold snaps last winter. And they actually agreed that it was because of where we were in the solar cycle. And I just wanted to briefly grace, because you never know, they could surprise you again. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, so they don't mention that. My point I'm trying to make is the awareness of Alaska heating up and parts of the Northeast. It's not that shocking. It has nothing to do with man-made climate. It has nothing to do with CO2. This has everything to do with where we've seen these regions heat up before in previous grand solar minimums. That's not going to get mentioned in the mainstream media, but I am going to mention it. So if Alaska had a record hot month, I'm not shocked. I'm not worried either. Because I know on the eastern side of the Arctic here, where Greenland and all that, we're talking some record first-year ice up to 3 meters thick. Where we reported on Tuesday night, that kind of first-year ice should simply not exist. So when I hear about Alaska heating up, or the western part of the Arctic being warmer than usual, you don't hear all the hysteria in the mainstream media about what's going on near Greenland and how thick the ice is there and how much colder it is there. If cold air moves from one area and replaced by a warm air, that cold air is going somewhere as well. And if it's already cold in one other region, then it's just going to be colder air into that region as well. But you won't hear the balance of this, guys, is what I'm trying to say. Is that you won't hear about it when it gets colder in a section that's already cold, when another area warms up. They don't want you to think it's balanced. They want you to think that this is all your fault. They want to scare you into believing that you need to go electric car, you need to go solar and wind, stop burning gasoline, Okay, stop heating your home and your cooking and your water tanks and your showers with natural gas. Stop it. All of it. Hell, they might even ban us from grilling out with charcoal next. I'm surprised we're still allowed to buy that. In summertime, how come temperatures aren't higher right now, huh? You know, everybody's grilling out there. In July, drop temperatures, huh? How about that? Everybody's out grilling with their charcoal. Or am I just the only old school dad out there that likes to put burgers on a charcoal grill every other day? All right, maybe not every other day, but still, you get the point. All right, Atlantic Tropical Disturbance Invest 96 expected to develop this weekend. This is a storm that they are watching. And that's what kind of brings me into tonight's beginning of our weather outlook. I want to show you guys what is considered to be the worst case scenario forecast. And the reason why I want to show you this is that there has been another YouTube channel that from time to time gets a situation correct. And I believe it's because he uses this particular forecast model. And I was sitting there talking, I'll show you both models just to give you an idea of what's going on. But I was sitting there talking to Mari about this earlier today, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why not? Why not show people this model? Honestly. Of course, GFS is bugging out on me right now. It's not giving us more than 6 hours of data. I love it. Oh, I love it. I'm going to close this out, guys, to be honest with you. Let me put it on something else while we're talking here. But I was talking to Mari, and we were talking about how basically the weather has gotten more extreme. That is true. We have seen these storms that lately have been the worst case scenario over and over again. That's true as well. So I think it's time that we probably start looking at two different models, especially when it comes to certain forecasts at this time of year, because the temperatures support this potential forecast. And I'm not having any luck, by the way, folks. I tried to load this up. Okay, here we go. Maybe I have to do this. Bear with me. I've almost got it. Giving me a hard time. Finally, I think we got it, but let's see what's happening here. Because I'm on the 18Z. All right. Almost got it ready for you guys. Just bear with me here. So what I want to do is I want to start talking about the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, especially when we're talking about tropical weather, okay? First and foremost. All right. Let's go ahead and start off. Take a look at our GFS forecast outlook. Pay very close attention to the southeast. Right now we have... Tell everybody to stand by. It's coming back.
I gotta get on my phone.
It's back. All right, looks like we got our signal interrupted. We apologize for that. Again, here we are talking about worst case scenario. I'm sure that's probably why this is happening. We do apologize out there. Every once in a while, our broadcasts do get interrupted. Something pings our internet, and we go offline for a minute. I don't know where I left off, but where I'm going with this is that we're showing you a model here that's worst case scenario. And basically, the reason why we're seeing all this moisture here is this high pressure system that's churning out. Now, check this out here. It's approaching Florida. This is August 8th. All right, getting through the Keys. The system grows pretty good. What's concerning about this storm is how long it hovers, and it's staying there because of this high pressure wedge. Here we are, August 10th, making approach to Florida, but not quite doing a landfall. This thing is kind of just hanging out on the coast. We're hanging out on the coast here with this storm. This is day 2, by the way. This system makes its approach actually on August 9th through the 10th, through the 11th, and starts to intensify, moving towards the Carolinas as well, Georgia. And by the 12th, it's still hanging out, just churning. Look at this, moving backwards slightly and backtracking south by Tuesday, August 13th. Now we start to see a little bit of coastal impact. You only can imagine the storm surge if this forecast holds true. Here we are on the 14th. Still on the 14th. Very intense. Look at this. Let's see how. 958. So we're about a category 3 at this point. 955. Now we're starting to move on midday Wednesday. Look at all the moisture out here in the eastern Atlantic, by the way. The Atlantic off the East Coast, I should say. New York City, Philadelphia. Watch out. This storm starts to make its way up the coast. South Carolina, North Carolina. Very intense storm. Still possible Cat 3. Now, I'm going to go to Mike's weather page here and just check out the wind shear that could be happening here. If I'm not mistaken, this area is favorable for development that where we see this storm. This is August 15th. Storm starts to move away from the coast, thankfully, because it gets even bigger. Look at the size of this thing. Here's the next Friday, approaching the East Coast. Philadelphia, New York City, DC. This storm, guys, if this thing shifts just a little bit further to the west, we're talking about a major hurricane impacting possibly on the East Coast and the Northeast. There is as far as we're going here, 17th of August. That's the worst case scenario, all right? Worst case scenario. Let's go with the best case scenario. This GFS here is still showing that constant moisture in the southeast. Okay? I believe that system gets caught up in another jet as they have this high pressure system here moving off a little bit further east towards Africa. And I think it catches off and drifts away out of that jet. But even this GFS forecast is showing lots of moisture, guys. And pay attention to the northwest. I'm going to play this in a decent speed clip. And you can see how it's just pulsing moisture from the northwest. North Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas. It just seems like it shoots wave after wave of moisture into the Midwest, into the East Coast, into the Southeast. And that high pressure system that's churning out there in the middle Atlantic. Let's take a look at this. Let's go out here in the North Atlantic. What one? Thank you, Starman. Doesn't go out that far. We don't get to see the development. This only takes us to Saturday, August 2019, August 3rd. Yeah, it doesn't go out that far, unfortunately. Let's see how far we can get to the 4th, 5th, still not seeing anything. So, unfortunately, we're not seeing this storm coming up yet. But what I wanted to see out here in the North Atlantic is where this high pressure system is going to be. And that's really going to be the fact. Now right here, you guys can see it smack dab in the middle. So this is going to be the key factor of what happens, I think, in the Atlantic. And in this particular forecast model, it is not showing this tropical storm system because, again, this is not the worst case scenario. But when we go to the worst case scenario, we see it very clearly. Coming off the coast of Africa, it's just a low right about here. Starts to get a little bit organized. Again, this model here has got high pressure in the same spot around the same time, the 6th of August. And then things really pick up here on the 8th of August as we see 3 high pressure systems across the Atlantic. Which, you know, I read earlier by Judah Cohen that what's happening right now is forgive me, what is causing these Greenland blocks right now, but he talked about how we are seeing these Greenland blocks already forming due to current situation in our jet stream. So two people are, well, this model of GFS is calling it, and Judah Cohen possibly could be hinting towards this high pressure block that is needed for this storm to make its way into the eastern part of Florida. But this storm sits in churns for a few days and finally takes off. Comes really close to the East Coast, guys. That's what I'm watching here is high pressure systems here where it stays. I guess the best news could be is that these high pressure systems aren't sitting right over the middle of the Atlantic, but considering that's where they're supposed to be this time of year. Again, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm just showing you a different model that is worst case scenario versus the best case scenario. And the reason why is that we need to be aware of both. That way we can have a plan just in case. There's models that are showing this. There are people that work in the climate field that are predicting certain high pressure systems in areas that will make this situation favorable. But it's also important to make sure that we keep the sanity as well and show the more realistic stuff. And unfortunately, right now, this current GFS model that we use 100% of the time is not showing the development or this possible storm like the models that we were just showing you a minute ago. And folks, forgive me here because I have lost everything apparently. What a well-tight show tonight, huh, folks? You got the internet gremlins messing with us. I must have hit the attention span lottery tonight, let me tell you. That's pretty much what I have for tonight. Basically, the increase of moisture for the southeast and the south and the northeast. More rain across the plain states, the middle part of the United States, which also we are expected to have cooler weather from areas in South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, parts of Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, Oklahoma. We will see cooler weather. And as I play this weather map loop, you will see that the area that is getting a lot of the cooler temperature predictions is also going to be a lot wetter than the areas that might be slightly above average temperatures. However, looking at this moisture model here, I do believe there's a chance that they might be off in the northeast on the temperatures. Who knows? There's a lot of moisture heading that way over the next 2 weeks. So basically from Illinois all the way to the northeast and the south, we are expecting increased chances of moisture, decent chances of moisture in Colorado, Kansas, South Dakota, and Nebraska through Iowa and Missouri, as well with the deep south, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and parts of Florida. Lots to watch, guys. Lots of things to keep our eyes on with earthquakes and volcanoes and possibility of hurricanes now picking up as we are getting into that season. Mara, would you like to say hello to everybody out in the chat tonight?
I'll say a quick hello. These tech issues have me a little off right now.
Yeah, I apologize if I sound a little off.
Well, my laptop keeps on getting knocked offline. I keep on getting knocked off the chat, and sometimes the chat freezes, and then the chat doesn't. I don't know. I'm having major problems today. But hello, everyone in the chat. There's a couple people I just want to give a shout out to. Peter McLeod, he said that he's out near where the northeast storm was that you covered in the world news section. A house collapsed where he was, and the family whose house it was had their business flooded as well. So he's affected by this personally right now. We were discussing in the chat about the diseased trees. Paula's Naturals is having an issue with aphids. I actually had a problem with aphids. I don't know if I told you about this. They killed my cilantro, which you probably are happy about because you hate cilantro.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I like it. It just makes my throat itchy. I like the way it tastes. I like it. I can't have it.
And then Cheryl's out near Maine. She said it was crazy, but nothing like what they got down south. And then GSM, David Birch, we love you, said Russia is 20 degrees Celsius below their July average, which is wow. And then there was some confusion about the mathematics of the one article in the climate section.
About the 110.
Here's my problem. I wasn't listening to you and I didn't read the article. So, for vetting sake, just like, there's a lot of math involved with that article. I think if you guys just go to the article, if you have questions, just read that. A lot of it was based with LCO, which is the levelized cost of energy, which breaks down dollars per megawatts per hour. And there's like, 1,000 megawatts or kilowatts in a megawatt.
Megawatt hours.
It's all broken down.
Yep. So
the kilowatt percentage is like 12 cents. I think the point of the article is that the savings aren't there. It's too expensive to actually be worth it, and that's the point of the article. If there's any confusion about that, I don't know how to better explain it without going back and listening what you said. And
I was just saying it's going to be expensive, and they calculated $110.40 per megawatt hour.
Well, someone in the chat,
Jeez.
God, I forgot who said in the chat, you're just
don't shoot the messenger.
You're just Ron Burgundy. Right? They said you're like Ron Burgundy.
I will read anything in the teleprompter.
I'm like, I don't know. It just says that in the article. But if you read the article, it's pretty clear. Just glancing at it, I have to dig in and read it a little bit more to whatever. Jake, you picked that article out, not my fault.
All right, whatever. Are we good?
We're good.
All right. Guys, thank you for tuning in once again to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. The next live show, I know we are speaking with a special guest, Jeff Harmon, on Sunday. That's not going to be live, but that will be released as soon as possible. And you don't want to miss that. And then I think we might do a show Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And who knows, we might surprise you guys with a live chat on Saturday. We're trying to reformat some things on our channel to help get the information out as best as possible. That's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in once again. Please like and share, and remember, we will talk soon.